Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Between the Game Sports back again. This time I'm doing a reaction video to the great interview between Draymond Green and Kevin Durant today on Bleacher Report. I heard it was great, so I want to get right into it. No further ado, let's get to it, baby.
Kenny, what's up, man? I appreciate you coming on. It's my show, Chips. Obviously, it stems from exploring that chip on your shoulder, what drives us and makes us who we are
Absolutely.
and why we here today. So thank you.
No doubt, man. Thanks for having me, bro.
So
Kevin Durant got to do something about this beard and this gold tee action, man.
He taught me the fundamentals. I mean, it felt like fundamentals of the game, but it was like truly fundamentals of life.
Did y'all hear that, man? If you're a young player, find you a coach who's going to teach you not only about sports, but life in general. Because at the end of the day, sports is going to end. And if they can teach you stuff about life and how to be a man or a young lady or whatever it may be, attach yourself to those coaches, man, because they're very special.
It's going to take for me to survive as a human being, a maturing human being. He put this game in front of me, told me the fundamentals of it, the balance of the game, the history of it. I just started to understand that for one, but also started to see life a little bit clearer too. It was one of those special times in my life that I always revert back to, you know.
You hear the cliche saying of everything you do at game speed. To me, that is the most cliche statement in the world.
Yeah.
Except for when it comes to you, you actually do every rep game speed. Does that come from him?
Hey, man.
Or does that come from somewhere else?
Yeah.
Being a former player, I hated when coaches said that. Man, do everything game speed. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, yo, coach, we had practice, bro. Like, it's hard to do stuff game speed because when you practicing against your teammates, every now and then they're going to let you have a little leeway to say, because they don't want you to run or they don't want the team to run if it's a bad practice. Man, y'all know how it goes. If you're an athlete, you know how it goes. You can't do everything game speed, but Draymond just said that Kevin Durant, who's one of the best players ever, does everything game speed. So there's a balance to be found in that.
Yeah, he built the foundation, and the cliche stuff. I mean, I am cliche. I'm simple. I'm efficient. I'm to the point. That's what my game is, and a lot of the best stuff to me is cliche.
Yes, you are.
So I just tried to approach every workout like a game, every game like a workout.
And then you go to high school, and you went to
practice should be your hardest thing, though.
How did you feel about that then? And looking back on that, how do you feel about it now?
So back then, I didn't know it was any different. I was listening to my Coach Brown, my mom, my pops. Like, this was where the best competition was, so I would switch schools every year to move up a level.
People have tried to make that connection.
Didn't know that about KD. He was switching schools a lot. I didn't know that.
At several different high schools to now.
This is a great interview, man.
What do you say to that or those people?
Yeah, I mean, I feel as though at each spot, even in high school, my game was growing so fast. I need to be in a different environment to see how farther I can go.
And why
makes
Texas?
sense.
In my opinion, Texas is a football school.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's
a
football state, but underneath all of that is some incredible athletes on the basketball side. It was just perfect.
Hey, man, shout out to KD. I'm from Texas, Houston to be exact. And yes, it's a football state, but KD just said it. He just said it that underneath all that, there are a bunch of hoopers in Texas. And if you keep up with high school basketball and collegiate basketball, just look around. You will probably see a Texas player on almost every roster, man. We coming, right? It's a melting pot of talent out here, man. Shout out to Texas.
The situation, and then being in Austin, it was like, you know, the city itself, you know.
KD was National Player of the Year at UT.
Town. It was like being in a major city, so it was perfect for me.
I know growing up in Saginaw, for me, being the tallest kid, everybody always wanted me to play center. And I was fortunate enough to have my uncle who
get on the block, man, if you tall, man.
Taught me.
No, don't do that. Learn your guard skills.
You always end up throwing at the center, whereas you're 7 feet. You'll never admit it, but you're 7 feet. You never played.
Hey, man, KD 7 foot. He be out here lying, man.
Really. And
I played a little bit in college because I couldn't dribble that well, but I was still on the perimeter most of the time.
Hey, this is something I didn't know. I spent a lot of time watching UT basketball when Kevin Durant was there. maybe I wasn't studying the game that well back then, but KD said he wasn't a great ball handler when he was at UT. Now, this is from a dude who was All American, consensus All American, and National Player of the Year, if I remember that correctly. He said he couldn't dribble the ball that well. So my man's out there giving people buckets, and he couldn't even handle the rock. So
And when we went small, that's when you would play the four. Whose idea was it like to never just stick you on the block because you were always taller than everybody?
Coach Brown and Coach Chucky, like they would see me every day just running up and down the court, like no ball in my hand, just running around with kids. And they seen my agility outside, running, playing football and stuff. So they seen that I wasn't just a stiff. So
you calling me a stiff?
I mean,
hey man, Draymond pretty good at this,
and
man.
you're not even big, bro. You like 6'6", like. And you play bigger than what you really are, but most guys that's tall and skinny, they can't really move at the same times. And
that's true.
I
They're always
wanted to
tripping
be a
over their
point
feet.
guard and shooting guard. I was just growing so fast. So some coaches did just stick me underneath the basket. But if I get a rebound, I go coast to coast. You know what I'm saying? If I shoot a jump shot here and there. So I was showing flashes, but it wasn't like this. You know what I'm saying? I developed this over time.
I remember
Put in that work.
Reading a statement where you said, I'm tired of being number two. I was the number 2 pick. I was the number 2 player in the country. Where was that coming from? Like, and why did you feel that?
Yeah, because we had just lost in the finals. And I felt like we was
Lost
right
to
there
LeBron
in
in the
every
Heat.
game. And people was like, man, good job. Man, y'all did great. Like, you guys are young, y'all be right back. And I was like, I don't care about that. I want to win that series. And I want to
KD
win
basically saying that
and that's where that came
he didn't want
from.
no participation award, man.
People wanted me to accept being second so much. That was never my mentality ever. Always to win the game. And, you know, I appreciate it.
Championship or bust, man. I don't know why all these other folks be celebrating that mediocre stuff.
First
Be a
9
champion.
years in OKC, and then you decide that you leave in OKC. And you ultimately decide to come to the Warriors, knowing that the scrutiny would be there, knowing that, you know, everybody would say the Warriors were this great team, but you still ultimately made the decision. Why was that? Was that driven by, I don't give a fuck what y'all think this is for me?
You boys being wrong.
Just, you know, was it strictly just a basketball decision?
It was a basketball decision, but I knocked down the, like, not giving a fuck ladder with that, too. You know what I'm saying? It kind of knocked down 2
KD basically said he did what was best for himself.
I felt like I was the absolute perfect fit with what you guys were doing on both ends of the ball. And I knew my game had reached a point where I needed to really see what that looked like. And I thought that was just a no-brainer. I would do that shit a million times. And, you know, again, I didn't second guess at all. And I knew.
Hey, KD say he don't care what y'all think. If he had to do it all over again, he'd be right back doing the same thing. He just needed to. He came to a point in his life basically where he needed the intrigue of him playing with the Warriors was more than anything else. So I can understand the thought behind the man now.
That's what I wanted to do when I was going into these meetings. But I really just had to confirm, go through the process. But, like, I knew from watching the games, just looking at interviews, just seeing everything that y'all about, it's like that's the way I wanted to play, and that's the way I need to go to, you know, continue to keep
intrigue. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Intrigue.
On that, I knew everything would come afterwards, and it was just me going through that experience and see how I was going to deal with it. And shit, it went perfect.
You didn't do 3 years there, 2 championships, would have been 3.
Basically said he didn't give up.
Easily.
But in my opinion,
Hey.
after year 2, you were over.
So they just said, Draymond said that they spent 3 years there. They would have won 3 straight if he had not got hurt. Yes. To put it plain and simple, yes, they would have. I mean, the Raptors, they did what they were supposed to do once they KD went down and Clay went down. But in my opinion, just my opinion, man, don't shoot the messenger. The Warriors could have dealt with Clay going down. But they couldn't have dealt with KD going down, if that makes sense, right? In my opinion, it makes sense. KD at the time was the best player on that team, and him being able to do that him going down, it cost him.
We're done with it, and you were on to the next thing. But we had the opportunity to three-peat. And in my mind, what brought you back to Golden State for year 3 was just the opportunity to three-peat, but it didn't feel right for you no more. Am I right, wrong?
That's interesting because a lot of people, that's just a talk around me the last 2 years.
Draymond felt that KD was done after year 2.
Because before I got to Golden State, I was just happy-go-lucky, like just bright-eyed to the experience. Not knowing
he really felt KD was done after year 2. He only came back for year 3 just for the chance to
every night.
three-peat.
I knew what my role was to the T. Teams before, I didn't quite know what my role was every night. Did I have to be the scorer? Did I have to be the facilitator?
Wow.
Did I have to get other guys involved? Did I have to make threes?
KD said he never knew what his role was when he was at OKC. Like,
so much
that's interesting.
And determination to not fuck around every day.
A shot at the organization or
workouts
shot at Russ. I don't really think so. I'm just speculating.
I was super locked in, and it made people on the outside look at me like, hold on, is he enjoying this? When I dive into something like that, with that level of focus, I don't want to be anywhere else in life. That's the most enjoyable experience I ever had after that first one. If that was the case, I wouldn't have played 78 games that year. I would have just waited to the end of the season and try to play in the playoffs. I played every game. I went hard every day. I cared about every matchup, no matter who was on the floor. Just my look and feel is like energetic or opening as it was before. And I like that. I like that I was closed off and focused on my work. I just maybe should have communicated that with more people who were interested in knowing what I was going through, but I had the most fun locking in.
This is a great interview. It's giving you insight of what Kevin Durant was going through at the time in those 3 years when he was with Golden State. Just kind of, it gives you
so I just try to
thought behind the man or his thought process, and you get to see it
and
come to life.
For my own personal sanity, because I've been getting my ass kicked ever since you left. So just for my own personal sanity, how much did our argument against the Clippers drive you to ultimately lead the Warriors?
It wasn't the argument. It was the way that everybody, Steve Kerr, act like it didn't happen. Bob Myers and tried to just discipline you and think that.
KD said it wasn't him and Draymond going at it. It was Steve Kerr and the other guy missed it.
Situation for us as a team. The first time we went through something like that, we had to get that shit all out. I remember watching The Last Dance, and when Scotty didn't go into the game, the whole team in the locker room said, Scotty, that was fucked up that you did that. We needed that. We just needed to throw all of that shit out on the table and say, yo, Dre, K, like, that was fucked up that we even had to go through that. Let's just wipe our hands with that and go.
Yo, KD is saying that if they would have just squashed it like men and talked about it instead of letting it linger, other folks were letting it linger.
Shit weird to me. And
his decision on leaving Golden State probably wouldn't have happened.
Who we say we are, family first. Communication is key. Like we didn't show that, and that's what.
Gotta communicate as men.
When we landed back from LA, I sat in the. Hazel was sitting in the car for an hour and 45 minutes. They pulled me in that room at Signature for an hour and 45 minutes, and they tried to tell me, you need to apologize. And I told them,
whoa. Trying to make a grown man apologize.
Y'all aren't going to tell me what I need to say. Mm-hmm. And, they went on for an hour and 45 minutes saying a bunch of bullshit. And ultimately,
Draymond basically saying he wasn't trying to hear none of that.
We're not getting through to him. We're going to try again in the morning. And so we met the next morning, and they said, all right, you slept on it. You ready to apologize? And I told them right then and there, I said, y'all about to fuck this up. I said, the only person that can make this right is me, okay? And there's nothing that y'all can do, and y'all are going to fuck this up. And in my opinion, they fucked it up.
I think so, too.
Keeping it real, man. Both of them just said that they other folks
right then and there,
messed it up.
We're going to suspend you for this game. I laughed in their face, literally.
He got suspended for that.
Face. And Bob said to me, he said,
Draymond a fool with it. He said he laughed in the boy's face.
That was not the reaction I was looking for or expecting. And I said, well, either I'm going to laugh in your face or I'm going to cuss you the fuck out. So you pick, I'm going to choose laugh. So I think what you're doing is funny, and so I'm going to laugh. And so it's interesting to hear you say essentially the same thing that I told them.
Both of them are saying the same thing.
That day. But, and moving past that, kind of along those same lines, you've now played with Russ,
They should have
Westbrook
talked it
has
out
an
as
incredible
men.
chip
Should
on
have
his
talked it
shoulder
out.
that sometimes goes too far.
Golden State.
Myself, who has a chip on my shoulder that
What you
sometimes
fans
go
think?
too far. Kyrie, who has a chip on his shoulder that sometimes goes too far. And James, who has a chip on his shoulder that probably sometimes goes too far. And playing with all the guys that you play with, that you could say, he probably go way too far.
We all go too far, bro, and we all got major chips on our shoulders. There's a million of us. Imagine a million people trying to run into this door right now. Somebody gonna get elbowed, kicked,
Very
pushed
true.
over. Like,
You
we
want to be
all
in the
trying to fit into a
NBA,
one-peg spot.
any
100
league, you gotta
millions
have a
of us
chip
trying
on
to
your
fit into
shoulder.
these
So
12, 15 spots on teams.
it's
So we gotta have that chip on our
less
shoulder.
than
And I
one
always
percent of making it
appreciated
to
that.
the NBA.
Appreciated people
Less
that
than 1%
acknowledge that
means
it's
you're the
tough
best
to
of the
make it to
best.
the league. And I had to kick a lot of motherfuckers down to get here. I had to
Mm-hmm.
shun a lot of my friends and sacrifice a lot of the personal shit that I loved as a kid so I can get here. So we all of us naturally are underdogs, got chips
All
on our
NBA
shoulders because
players
it's
share that
hard to make
same
it to this
story.
point. But the person that went too far was
Leaving
always
friends
Draymond
behind,
Green.
leaving family behind,
He,
going to the
I
gym
mean,
while other
to the
folks going to
point where
party.
I felt
It's
like you were
tough.
trying to establish that you're not playing around. Like, you're not gonna walk over me, even though I was a second round pick and I'm undersized and I'm not as skilled as y'all want me to be, or I don't play the way y'all traditionally like for people my size to play. I felt that same way about Russell Westbrook because of his story. I felt that same way about James Harden because I know his story from, like, when these dudes was kids, what they had to go through as everyday people, not just on the court. It's hard to
Mm-hmm.
make it through life every day. You know what I'm saying? Where some of these people come from. You know, so I started understanding that about people. I'm realizing, like, now I see why they show their ego, they show the pride that they have, they
This
show
interview
the
is
chip that they
excellent,
have
man.
on
It's
their
giving
shoulder
you an
because it's
insight
hard as shit to make it
of
every
what
day.
dudes
You know what I'm
do
saying? But you
between
pushed
the
it to the
game. That's
limit
why
where
I
it's like,
named
it's cool for me to
such and
be who
such
I
my
am
company the way I
and
did.
be and not
Give you an insight of
apologize
what
for it all
players
the
go through
time.
between the game
Because, you
when
know what I mean,
the
you don't
lights
mean
not
no harm
on,
to
cameras are
anybody,
gone,
but shit that you
no
wanted done, you
fans,
want
stuff
it
like
done.
that.
And we all respected that. And we all kind of looked up to that as guys that come into the league and want to fit into the system so bad. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Facts.
wanting to be a part of this whole thing. Then you realize you see dudes who just going by their own little pace, and it's like, oh, that's more so of my rhythm. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the guys that I play with, from Russ to James to Kai to Steph to Clay, they all kind of move to the beat of their own drum. That encourages a lot of people to do the same shit, not just basketball players, but people in general who just watch us. Dealing with everybody every single day, I start thinking like that, and I start seeing the beauty in all of this shit.
To watch you early on in your career, like you said, you was the happy one. You was the kid that carried the backpack. Nike started a backpack
I
line
remember
because you
that.
always, and you, to this day, you still
Still
carry a
do it, yeah.
backpack all the time.
Oh,
And so there's this common misconception that you're not the kid that carries the backpack anymore. I still think you're the kid that loves basketball and carry a backpack.
Yeah.
But over the
KD's
course
just
of
a
the
hooper,
years,
man.
your
Again, you
answers
can call him
to the
up
media, how
3,
you
4 in the
deal
morning,
with
say
the
let's go
media
hoop.
has changed.
I think he'll be there.
Why is that? Is that just who you grew into? Is that because of the way they act with certain shit? Where did that?
I felt like the media knew more than me. I almost had them on a pedestal of, like, they got more history, knowledge of the game, they more experienced than me in this area of the NBA. So once I started to get more experience and realize, like, oh no, they can never be what I am or know what I know or understand it the way I understand it. Some of the questions, they didn't seem so
So
intelligent to me
basically, he's
anymore.
saying that
People wanted to praise me
when
more
you're a
than I
child
liked,
or a
or
young teen, you think like a
hate me
child or a
more than
young
I
teen.
like, make a
So
big deal out of so
maturity.
much other shit. And I was just like, this game is simple to me. So some of the stuff that y'all asking really doesn't move me the way it used to. I just, starting to see life different. I can see this game different. So,
Yeah,
of
that
course my
comes with age
answers and questions,
and
about
experiences
what
and
goes on
just
is going to be
living
different
life.
too. So I just chalk that up to just maturity and experience.
And speaking of media, social media,
Right on the
obviously,
money.
we were teammates when you got caught with the burner account. One thing that I love about the burner account
KD and the
is
burner.
everything that you said on the burner account, you just started to say on Kevin Durant's account.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like it, as most people voice. They don't like how you respond to some fans or how you respond to this, how you are always tweeting. What do you make of people's reaction to you responding to fans, and if you think something, you send it.
Yeah. I just think people are still upset that I went to the Warriors, and a lot of people who are
Oh,
Cavs
facts.
fans who enjoy watching the
Facts.
Cavs beat y'all before,
I made a
which is
post
a
about
lot
that
of
on
people.
Facebook.
I didn't
The day
realize
that
that till I
Kevin
got
Durant
a
signed
lot
with
of people enjoy seeing
the
y'all
Golden
lose in
State Warriors,
2016. And a lot of
everybody in
those
the
people
basketball
were
world
upset
knew
that we were so
it was
good.
over.
And they're still upset because you do the same shit on Twitter. Damian Lillard does the same shit on Twitter. CJ McCollum does the same shit on Twitter. We all do the same shit on Twitter, but for me, it's a problem. I mean, I chalk it up to just me being so good at what I do and playing with a team that was so great, and we fit so well. Nobody likes a great thing, and I guess I was the cause
All
of
right, I'm gonna stop
great
it
thing
right
because
there.
I
The
came to
interview
join.
goes on
So
about
it's
7
way
more
deeper than
minutes,
what I
but
do on Twitter.
again, this
And
was
I
a great
understand that. And it's
interview.
funny to me at this
It's
point
kind of give you an
because you
inside
can't erase what we
look
did.
of
You
what
never gonna
players
erase it. And you know you love
go
watching us
through,
play.
man. It's just
You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
them
It's the
being
best, I
open,
think it's
being
the
real,
best era
being
of
1,000,
basketball,
as
in my
the
opinion.
young
But
folks
that's
will
really what
say.
it is. So many people
I
still
think
upset
Draymond
with me
Green
that I
did an
chose to play
excellent job
basketball for the Golden State
at this
Warriors,
interview.
which
He
is
asked the
sad
right
at this
questions at
point
the right
because it's almost
time.
a
KD
decade
was
later
open and responsive. There
since I
was
made that decision.
no
You know what I'm saying?
hatred, no
That's never
malice
gonna
was going
stop
on
me
because
from
everybody thought that they hated
engaging with
each other
fans
after
because at the end of the
their
day, I'm only
incident and
talking about
stuff like that.
basketball.
But
I'm not diving into politics.
his
I'm not
interview was
telling you how you
amazing.
should live.
I don't know
I'm not
about y'all. I'm
flexing my
gonna watch it
money
a
or my
couple more
power or
times.
none of that shit on you.
I
I'm
just
just
like players,
literally talking about the
letting
game,
people
you
know
know,
or
and what I
get a
see.
chance to
And I
know
don't think
them
it harms
off
anyone.
the court.
I would
And
love to
again,
see
that's why I
D-Book win a
named
championship. But in my opinion,
Between Game
the
Sports
finals
because
does not compare to
people need to know, right? If you're a
Warriors,
fan of somebody, you need to
Cavs,
know who they are
Warriors.
offside the
Nah,
court, off the field,
Even Warriors,
whatever it
Raptors.
may
Do you
be.
have
So,
any regrets about
but
that,
again, great
knowing that
interview. That was just
we
my
probably would
thoughts.
have won 5 more
Want y'all
championships?
let y'all
No,
see me
I
watch
don't
it.
have any regrets at all. I feel
But
like we did exactly what we were
until next
supposed to
time,
do.
it's Between the
And I
Game
wish we would have
Sports. Please
three-peated because it's
subscribe,
rare.
hit the
And we
thumbs
were
up
like right
button,
there.
then hit that bell button. Get
But I
those
don't have any
notifications
regrets
about
at all
new
because I feel
content.
like
Between the Game
if we just
Sports.
stay
Until next
healthy
time,
with
I'm
the
out.
Nets,
Peace.
we had a great chance to finish it too. So, no, I mean, being hurt for that year really changed my perspective on everything that I was doing and everything that I did before. I looked at that time with playing with the Warriors as so special to me, but it was time to move on.
So now you're in this space with the Nets, and you know everybody has made this big deal about Kyrie and you know his beliefs and him missing games, and just like we all do, he got his shit.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are now saying that is what's going to cost y'all ultimately of reaching where y'all want to reach. What do you make of that?
I mean, I just think people don't like Kyrie because he wanted to leave Cleveland and he wanted to leave Boston. I don't think it's any deeper than that. He doesn't harm anyone. He hasn't said anything that's disrespectful to anybody. His game is beautiful to watch. I just think people don't like the decisions on where he chooses to play. And they sort of amplify everything because everybody in this league has their shit. They may say something over a course of 6 months that everybody may not agree with. That's just nature of our business. You know, when you're that good at what you do, everything is a little amplified, and sometimes it's a little extra, you know. So what Kyrie does, especially in our building, nobody is making a big deal out of it. Just like a lot of shit we did in our building, we didn't give a shit if Clay missed practice. Like, who cares? Like, as long as you're there for the games, as long as you healthy enough to play, like, we didn't give a shit. Like, when you and coach cursed each other out, literally as soon as the practice was over with, it was cool. Like, you know, so it was like everybody's mature enough to understand, like, we come to work, we handle our business, and you be who you are.
Family, you have no kids. You're now 32. I'm
About to be
31.
33.
I got 3 kids. I'm 31, so I took a little different route.
You're OG now, man.
But you have no kids. Why? Do you want kids ultimately? Do you not want kids?
I mean, that's a big commitment, for one. And I always felt like I was just really zoned in on my work, in my alone time, in my free time. Too much for me to like lock in on something like that, you know? And eventually I do want that, but the older I get, I think is the better because I'm maturing more, knowing myself more, understanding my situation a little bit more. So if I were to invite someone in or combine my life with another person, you know, it'd be perfect at this time as opposed to me 10 years ago. I wouldn't know what to do. So I think as long as I wait, you know, it's only gonna be for the better.
Do you ever worry that the longer you wait, your kid won't understand who Kevin Durant is?
I'm glad he won't understand. Because I don't want him to have to feel like he's pressured in this bubble to do what I did, you know? And as long as I'm playing, like, this bubble is always going to be about making it to the NBA. So if you see a little KD out here, nothing but you expecting him to be a basketball player. So, like, I don't know if my kid are even going to be that tall or fall into the game like I fell into it. Who knows? So I'd rather just me tell him, you know, over time what I did. I don't want any pressure for anybody that's coming into my world to do what I like to do. I want them to explore things on their own.
So what's next for you? You got, you know, probably 10 more years left of hooping.
I hope so.
What comes after that? Have you gotten there yet, or you still just so locked in on basketball that it's just that?
You know, I definitely want to stay involved in the game. I'm learning so much now. I don't know where I could use it at. Coaching, GM, ownership. I feel like I'm gathering so much knowledge that I could be useful in any part of this game. But outside of that, I have other interests in tech world, media space, art, all of that stuff that, you know, I enjoy to do in my leisure time. You know, I want to get involved in at some point. But for now, you know what I'm about. You know what I enjoy to do every day. So until that time is up, then we'll see what happens. But I feel like I'm setting up stuff on the back end of things that I can have options.
You know, I think people look at us and they say, oh man, you play basketball for a living, you should be happy, which is great, right? Like, you love basketball, I love basketball. Being able to do that and make the type of money we make is incredible. But with that comes a lot of fucking scrutiny, comes a lot of headaches. What is the happiest you've been as a professional?
I don't even like to use the word happiness. That's just a fleeting feeling. It can just go so up and down. I don't want to chase that feeling. It's just not a efficient way for me to live. I feel like just having peace and really simply just enjoying being alive every day is the best place for me to be. You know, I don't want to be happy and sad. Like, I don't even want to have to go through that. I just want to just kind of float through life. I experience so much. I just want to take on every experience for what it is and enjoy it in a moment, you know? So I don't want to chase happiness, you know, so that I just try to stay even.
I respect that. Appreciate it, bro.
Man, that was incredible talk,
yes, sir.
Brother.
Thank you, thank you.
No doubt.
That's Chip, it's a wrap.
This is gonna be an incredible interview, by the way.
Right.
This is gonna go crazy.